Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well. Okay, I got a little lesson I put together. My name is Yawadon from GMS, Colorado. It's going to be on death and the principles of death. Because eventually, that's one thing that was always promised to us after the garden, was death. So I want to get a little lesson together, and what I want to say is a little prelude to my scriptures is, we're gonna all die eventually. Okay, I'm gonna title this video "Death." There's nothing that you can do to escape death. That's something that's promised. It's a given, and it's a fearful thing. But you should not be afraid of death, because we have all died before. You should be afraid of the Most High and His power to not give you life again. And I'm going to make this a 2-segment video. I'm going to end it on death, and then I'm going to create a video on life, because it's all about a balance. That's the thing about the scriptures that people may not understand. It's a balance of things, and you have to have the left hand and the right hand, and with both you have the equilibrium per se to make good decisions, and ultimately, if you're a part of the elect, seek life and salvation. Okay, so with that, I'm going to get my first scripture, and it's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. You can't escape death. You cannot. No matter what you do, you cannot escape death. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Okay, that's what the nations will say. They'll say that there's no man that has ever come again. You're not a zombie, per se. You're not an individual that can get shot 5 times in places that will be fatal and raise up. It's not possible. Okay. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart. Okay? And in a side note, that's why the Bible is the most accurate form of history and science, and what Esau, Edom, okay, the so-called Caucasians, they try and forfeit evidence to things that they think they know, but were basically allowed to have. They were given that for a reason to, push forward in their mischievous ways. These other nations, they were afforded the ability to do what they do. Okay? And the Bible said you have a little spark in your heart. So, that's what life is. When it's real cold outside, okay, and you feel the wind on your skin, it makes you remember that you're alive. Okay? And that's what my 2-segment video is going to be on. It's going to be on death first, MAWATH. Okay, it's the Hebrew word, MAWATH, for death. And it's going to be on life, because that's the principle of things. That's the origin of things. And there's many lessons to be proven in that very same concept. Okay? And smoke in your mouth. So like when you go outside, and like I was saying to prove my point, you go outside, it's cold. If you stay out there too long, you might die. Okay? You might die. Okay? It's not profitable for you to be in an environment like that, because it makes you remember that you're corruptible. It makes you remember that you have qualities in yourself that are not perfect, and you will die if you do not make a correction in that course of action. So my main thing with this lesson, as I continue with my scriptures, is that there is death, MAWATH, okay, MAWATH, and then there's life, and there's an equal share between the two. It's a yin and a yang, okay? Because remember, every culture stole from our culture. Every single culture in the world stole from our culture. The original culture, which is the Hebrew Israelites, okay? The 12 patriarchs of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, that goes for everything. There's an equal walk in hand. If you didn't have ears, you would be disbalanced. Okay? So you have to appreciate death and you have to appreciate life. Just like Elder Gabar always says. It was one of the elders, I can't remember, that, basically said, I'm not sure if he's still in the truth or not, but basically said, you had to learn to do wickedness and find death as many times as we've lived and as many times as we've died to appreciate righteousness. And it's hand in hand. Righteousness is life. Wickedness is death. But you can't be over righteous and you can't be overly wicked because it'll lead to either of the two. It's like riding a bike. If you lean one way when you're turning a corner, that bike might come up out of under you and you may fall. It's possible. If you lean too far to the right, you might fall. It's the same consequence. Don't be overly righteous. And I'll continue on. Which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. Okay, that's all we are. We're just flesh. We're corruptible. Through sin is death, and that's something that we all do, even myself. And through that, we will die. And that's something that Yahushua had to come back for in the flesh to provide life, and I will get this on my next segment, but this is death right now. Okay, we're dealing with death. Even Yahushua had to go through the things that he went through, suffering and pain and persecution from other people and disbelief, because they could not believe, they could not see who he was. And through that, he gave up his life, okay? And that's what you have to do in the spirit, man. You have to be so-called Christ-like, Hamashiach-like, Salah. And, that's what this requires, man. Okay? Because otherwise, all we are is just flesh. And all we ever been doing is sinning. All we ever done is sinned. And we are failures to the Most High. So you have to push yourself to be the best you can be. And our name shall be forgotten in time. And no man shall have our works in remembrance. And our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud. And did that not happen to Israel? Through death, through sin, through the left side, through death, and through perpetration of the law and disobedience of the law? It did. Okay? You'll be forgotten. Our past lives were forgotten. Our history was forgotten. Our culture was forgotten. Okay? Everything that we had done was forgotten and stolen. But that's a different subject. But it was. That's history. Okay? We even forgot who Yahushua was. But that proves that God is not dead. God cannot die. But you can. Don't forget that. You can. You can walk outside and get hit by a semi. You could walk outside and get struck by a lightning bolt. Because we all deserve death. We all do. We all have done things and continue to do things that qualify in the law of old, okay, that make us guilty, and we have to be accountable for those sins. We have to make ourselves accountable for the things that we do incorrectly. It's a part of being a man, okay? It's a part of being a grown-ass man. You have to deal with things that you've done. You have to look yourself in the mirror and know that you've done wrong, okay? Because if not, you're going to be forgotten, You're going to be made victim to the law. And the law is not done away with. The law is still here, okay? Yahushua is the revitalizing of that law. Yahushua, when he died for his elect, the 144,000 righteous men of each tribe, he came back, he revitalized the law. Because if it was a standard for us to be put up against that law, no man would make it. Hell, even the elect will fall short to the Most High's standards. But he'll save them anyways because they did enough. Because he said so. And you scoffers and you other people, if you don't get that, that's fine. And shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away. And after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. And the only man that cometh again was Yahushua, the Messiah. Hamashiach. Okay, he was the only individual that walked this earth and became again the most High authorized it. Okay, but as men, as mere men, as grasshoppers, such as we are, we will not walk again. Now, there's life after death, but I'll get into that into life. We're going to talk about reincarnation. We're going to talk about regeneration. We're going to talk about things that lead to salvation. Okay, but through the other side, we have to appreciate what we've learned. Like every morning I wake up and I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror, and it hurts to look at myself because I look at my eyes and I know how wicked I am. But that's the thing about this, brothers. You have to know what you're capable of, and you have to fight. You got to fight. You're a man. You have to gird your loins like a man. Okay? Grab your belt, and you got to put your hands up, man. Because if you don't put your hands up, you're going to get knocked out for the count. And the devil is a goddamn lion. And he roars about the earth looking to devour those that are weak. And we cannot be weak in this thing, especially as late in the time that we are. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. And that's something that the so-called white man does, man. That's something that these nations do. You can go to your store, and you can buy a bulk of everything you need, more than things that you need. And that's the imbalance of things. This life demands balance, okay? And without balance, it's like riding that bike. You have to have that fulcrum. Like if you ever rode or played at a play set when you were a kid, and it's like a teeter-totter. You know, those things that go back and forth. You know, you got a fulcrum point in the middle, and it's about leverage. You have to find your point of balance. Otherwise, if you lean too far this way, you're gonna fall. If you lean too far this way to the right, you're gonna fall. It's not possible for you to go either hand, but you have to find moderation, mediation, and implement it into what you are and do the best you can do, okay? Because we all fall short of the Most High. We'll never be like Hamashiach until the other side in the kingdom, you know, and then we'll be blessed with that gift. But as for now, we have to do the best we can, you know, teeter-tottering back and forth, trying to stay alive, man, and praying that we don't get knocked out, or praying that, you know, we don't put our hands down and fall short and our strength is weak. You know, we got to pray that that's not us. We got to keep pushing and fighting. Okay? Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. And that's what people do, man. Even our own people, even Israel. Because there's a separation of the two in the nations. You have nations that, you know, are out there to be what they are, and their purpose is destruction. They are given the authority to be completely left-handed. They're completely left-handed. And then the 1/3 is the only ones that can implement the right side of things, the correct side. And it's funny because you look at what's wrong, it's left. What's right is right. It's right. But there's it's subtle things like that make you, if you're a brother watching this video, that wake you up, that realize the little things that the Most High does, that he puts right in front of your face and you can't see. Okay, and that's what the people do. They love going to you know, be more than they can. You know, they take adultery and they run with it. Our people, you know, Israelites, so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Latinos, and even the confused ones that have confused faces, like myself. You know, they do something, they run with it. You know, like when I was in the world. You know, there's things that I enjoyed doing that I did too much that were unprofitable for me. And even so, that I have to live with that today. Not only physically, but mentally, and choices as well. And that's what the world does, is they do too much. Okay? But you got to stay in the middle. Otherwise, it's unprofitable. And this is a continuance. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness, okay? Let us leave tokens of joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion and our lot to do this. Okay, I'm going to read it again. For this is our portion, okay? It was afforded to them to do this. And our lot is this, Okay? So everybody in the world is doing what they got to do to die. It's all about death. But the real question of the matter is, who are you going to die for? What? Maybe a better question would be, what are you going to die for? Could you possibly die for something that's greater than yourself? Or greater than things of the flesh? Things that you cannot see, that you cannot hear, that you cannot smell, taste, or feel? Things of the Spirit, a promise that were afforded to you by the Most High. And that's what the elect are going to do. They're going to do that. And they will stick to their beliefs, and the Most High will guide them and save them until that time where they will be exalted with the Messiah. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Barakatah. And they will be crowned. Okay? And there's going to be some of the elect that are going to die. And that's also a side factor, because with the balance, I'm pushing this video in hopes that the people that may have not be, are not a part of GMS right now, which isn't a problem. If you push this doctrine in truth and sincerity, and you lift up the name, and you teach these scriptures, and you're following these laws, statutes, commandments, that's fine. You don't have to necessarily be a part of GMS, but I'm pushing it for you so that you know, or people that may not know now, in hopes that you come back to your history, come back to your knowledge, come back to your origins and the law. Okay, it's a law. And then I'm pushing it for you brothers out there too that may stumble upon this video. We got to stay sincere. We got to stay truthful. Okay, because even unto perfection, when we get saved by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, he may require us to die. Because the servant is not greater than the master. We are not greater than the Messiah. We fall so short of the Messiah. And he had to die. In fact, he was tortured. In fact, his apostles were tortured, which were under him, grievously, which I'm going to get in continuance. But, that's something that if you accept yourself to be a Hebrew Israelite, okay, by blood, and you believe and you have faith, then you have to also accept death. Because through death you find life. You have to die. That's how it's simple. Even the 2/3 are going to get life after death. MAWATH. You have to die. And you cannot fear death, because there's things that you need to fear that are above death, that cause death to happen. It's a bigger picture. You have to actually open the book and read it. If you're watching this video, I encourage you to go look into history. Go look into books. Go look into these scriptures. And if the Most High is dealing with you, he will open your eyes to see and your ears to hear, and it'll start clicking. And it's subtle, real subtle. But when you put the puzzle pieces together, it paints a picture. And brothers, that picture is beautiful. I'm only getting a couple more sips on this one. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. Okay? And it's double folded. This video, I'm going to get everything. I'm going to get everything that inquires to death. Because that's our subject point right now, is death. Okay? We're not going to reverence the aged. Is that not what people are doing in this truth? You got to pick through the weeds to find the flower, man. You got to pick through the bullshit in life to find success. And success is not of the flesh, brothers. Just like you have to dig in ground in the dirt, the base of man, to find a diamond. And the diamond is created of the dirt, of the ground, of the minerals of the earth, formed in pressure, through death, through pressure through life, formed nonetheless, but you had to face adversity in order to get there. Can you imagine how many times that we've had to die to be where we are now? Can you imagine how many times the 2/3 have been 2/3 doing the wickedness that they've done? Not reverencing the elders, not reverencing the apostles, not reverencing the Messiah when he walked in the flesh, not reverencing the laws or the statutes or the commandments. But it's their lot to do that. but it's appointed unto you to die. Even the righteous died. The wicked died and the righteous died. So now that we have that clear, what are you fighting for? Let me ask you that. What are you fighting for? Let me ask you, what are you living for? Because we all living to die. And it's a full circle. It's a full circle. Let me see. So you have the example of life and death through that. That's one of my, I love Wisdom of Solomon. Let me move on to the next one. I don't want to make this too long. This is Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And that's the truth, man. What we're doing right now is right. If you're reading these scriptures and you're reverencing your elders, reverencing men that are above you, because you can handle rebuke, you can handle being lesser than, and that's ultimately what you scoffers have a problem with, which is a different subject. But I just want to say, like, you are a weak breed of people, and you're inferior. Look that word up, inferior. Okay? No matter what you do, the likelihood of dying is far superior than living. There's only going to be a small percentage of the elect of Israel that will live. And the 1/3 that will live. That the Most High affords them life. But there's going to be men of those chosen people out of the whole population of the earth that are going to die. Even of the elect and the population of the earth. The population of the earth is already guaranteed a ticket, a first-class ticket to the grave, to the pit. Okay? But how is that not something that you can avoid? That's something that you have to come to realizations of, because we all are going to die. We all will die. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong. So, scoffers are going to scoff. Righteous men are going to be righteous. Okay? Everybody is getting in their place. And it's beautiful because you watch the separation occur. And if you have eyes to see the vision, if you have been given that sight to see, then you can see. And if you're watching this video, I'd encourage you, or brothers that are watching this in the camp existing, keep fighting and be ready to die. Be ready to take that death. Be ready to take torture. Because this devil, he's coming, and he's coming with the wrath, man. He's a madman. And he's in that car, and he's going 150 down the road. And he ain't stopping. He ain't even think of the brake pedals. He's going to run anybody and everybody he can over. And there's going to be a lot slayed in his name. Because the Most High ordained it to be as such. Be ready for death. Meditate on death, MAWATH. Okay? Because through death, you may find life. And that's my next subject point. I will get that in my next video. And I'm going to get this next step because it is edifying as well. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful. And the end of that mirth is heaviness. So, that's a parable of balance. Because you can laugh and appear to be happy or positive. Doesn't mean you really are, though. Because deep down inside, at your source, you're in pain. You're in hurt. In fact, people that commit suicide, jump off of buildings because they've reached their boiling point. It was their lot to do that. And that's what we are, the elect, if you are a part of that number, whether you're GMS or not. You believe in death. You hope for death. In fact, you search for death, but you cannot find death because it's appointed to us to endure this strife and struggle with joy. You might lose everything. Like me, I'm not going to get into all kinds of personal subjects, but, There's so many things that I've lost in life, and I'm only 21, you know? But through that, I would have gave it all up just to get the kingdom, man, to get perfection. Because with sight, you see what's necessary in order to achieve that, in order to achieve perfection. And that something might be greater than your own life. And you have to accept that. You have to accept this struggle. In fact, I look at the devils and the demons in this world, and I snicker. Because they're snickering at me, hoping to put fear in my heart, and they will not. They can't stop me. They can't stop you brothers out there that are truthful and sincere. The only person that's going to stop you, that you should be worried about, is the Creator, the Most High, and His Son, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's it. The backslider in his heart shall be filled with his own ways. Because you reap what you sow. It's only fair. I mean, you put the seed in the ground, so it grew and it grew and it grew, and there it is. So you gotta pick the fruit thereof of your labors. Okay? And a good man shall be satisfied for himself. Right? I'm satisfied with death. That's a blessing, is death. Again. How many times have we died? How many times have the wicked died? How many times have the scoffers died? How many times have the righteous died and came back again? Death is simple. You leave the corruptible flesh and you go into the spirit world. Your energy leaves your body and you leave this world and you leave sin. You go into a state of mediation until you get put back into the flesh, and it's another round. And then you put your hands up, and hopefully this time you don't get slept. Hopefully this time you can stay and you can go to round 4 or round 5 and put up a good fight. But even after that fight and shit, you may even win by decision. Who's the decider? The Most High. By decision you may win, and yet you're still gonna die. You can't avoid it. So my thing is hope for the best, hope for life, hope for salvation, which the elect will achieve of Israel, the 144,000. But assume death. Assume death. Do we deserve more? Do we deserve more? Of course we do. Of course we do. It could get much worse than that. So death is a blessing. Death is a blessing, brothers. A wise man feareth, okay? Feareth not death. You know, that's the base. But just like a book, you can't open the book and read Genesis and stop there. In fact, if you did that, you fucked up. Excuse my language, because Genesis is one of the most intense books of the book, of the Bible. Don't fear death. Fear the Most High. The Most High can annihilate your spirit. And then there ain't no coming back from that. There is no coming back from that. You are gone. So why fear going into the ground and becoming the natural elements of the earth, being dust and so on, as opposed to having your energy, your existence, your purpose destroyed? But the prudent man looketh well to his going. And that's what the righteous will do. Because it's more than just, fighting with these scoffers. It's more than just fighting with these other camps and fighting with these heathens and these agents that come on the comment board and are paid annual wages to be demons on brothers' comment boards and shit. Because at the end of the day, we gonna see who gets saved. We gonna see, and I'm gonna use a parable. I'm gonna use a parable for you, because that's what the Lord does. Let me use a parable for you. Just as if a squirrel goes in and prepares for winter, or a bear goes and prepares for winter, did he not store up what he needed to survive? What he thought he needed to do in order to survive? A bear will go ahead and eat hair so that way his intestines will be plugged for the amount of time he has to hibernate through the death of Earth. Which leads me to my next point. Does the Earth not die every year? Metaphorically, through winter, you see a birth in spring, and you see life through the summer, and through the fall, you see a continuance of death until you get to winter and there's no life. But does that life stop? No, it's hand in hand, running hand in hand. It's a full circle. Continuing on, Mark chapter 6, verse 24. And she went forth and said unto her mother, What shall I ask? And she said, The head of John the Baptist. And this was the woman that went to the king that requested John the Baptist to be beheaded or murdered when he was in prison. Okay? He was an apostle. In fact, he was a great man in the eyes of Yahushua, Hamashiach. And a better man than the other nations. A better man than those that their lot was given to them to be wicked and evil. But he died. In fact, he got his head cut off. So when that day comes and Esau's looking for our heads, don't be afraid to give it to him. Because that's something that the elites can't stand when they watch these videos, is they look in our eyes and they see the seriousness of brothers in GMS and out there abroad that don't fall under that designation, how real we really are about this truth. How sincere we really are about giving this the most. And by the most, I mean death. See, most people, they spend their whole lives avoiding the thought and the concept of death. It's always in the back of their head, but they avoid it at all costs. But when you're laying in that deathbed and you watch a person die, they have a couple reactions. And one of them is either they're going to be at peace, because they would rather be dead than here, or they have that fear of shock on their face because they ran from it their whole life. They ran from death. They ran from the thought of eventually taking their last breath and their spirit leaving their body. And frankly, they didn't know. They didn't know that after death there's life. So we've been given a miracle if you're a part of this truth. If the Lord has put the Spirit on you, we've been given a miracle, brothers out there. Because we know, and if you've been given faith and oil to see as such, that after death, there's life. And personally, I'd gladly give my life for the kingdom, for the Most High, for the elect. Gladly. Because what have I done? What am I living for? I can't even barely pay my bills. I mean, I have more hours to give to work than I do this truth. I have more hours to give to my stress and my worries and my problems and things that I've been through and things of that nature that constantly sidetrack me. Not to mention spiritual demons that will be out there trying to affect the men of the Lord, because the devil is out there and he's real. What do I have? What do you have? You know, and I'm not poking or prodding. I'm just saying it's an honest point, and I ask it in sincerity to those that are humble enough to self-reflect. Self-reflect on yourself and ask yourself, what do you have? What do we all have except the Lord, except Yahweh Bashim Yahushua? And if that answer is to answer to your question, then you may be a part of that number. You may, and that's a beauty. That's a beautiful thing. And she came straight away with haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me buy in a charger the head of John the Baptist. And the king was exceeding sorry. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you might be sorry you being wicked, but if it's not appointed unto you to do what you do, then you're going to do it. Whose hand, like Elder Gabar said, whose hand, like the elder said, has withstood the Most High? Can you argue the Creator of yourself? Yet for his oath's sake, and for their sake, which sat with them, he would not reject her. Because he couldn't. Pharaoh couldn't, let the people of the Lord go, okay, in Exodus, because he saw his land getting jacked up. A reasonable man that was, founded on reality and founded on, factual circumstances would have let the Lord's children go after the first plague came. But he didn't, because he couldn't. The Most High did not allow him to do that. The Most High had appointed him to a circumstance that needed to be done. And it just so happens the Most High appoints all of us to death. Okay? That may be you, brother. You may be in an internment camp when this World War III and martial law kicks off in America. They may be coming to look for you. They're watching us. These elites are watching us. And they have something planned for us. As soon as they get the opportunity, as soon as they get that green light to grab us up, there's going to be brothers that get taken to prison, get taken to camps, just like John the Baptist. He was in prison. And that spirit might move that individual, that wicked demon in that camp to be like, man, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to have to guillotine this guy because of his race. When Esau kicks off this shit and they're coming after Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Or they're coming after those that follow certain groups or follow the belief in doctrines such as what GMS teaches. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to put his head, I don't want to cut his head off. I don't want to put him in there. But I have to. And they will do it. They will not hesitate. So don't be fearful, brothers. Don't be fearful when they're waterboarding you. Don't be fearful when they're electro shock therapy in you. Like that movie Unthinkable. Even though as blasphemous as what that man stood for, that's what we're going to go through. We're going to have our fingers cut off. We're going to have our limbs severed from us. We're going to have our loved ones being tortured in front of us. We're going to have, the most painful, you could be suffocated. And just before you go unconscious, they let you breathe. And then as soon as you take that breath again, they're going to do it again. Until the same thing repeats. There's all kinds of things that Esau, the so-called white man, the devil of the earth, has put together to deal with us. Just like he did with John the Baptist in those times. And immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in prison, and brought his head in a charger, and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to her mother. So, with conspiracy, through deceitfulness, John the Baptist was murdered. He was executed for his beliefs, for his doings, his workings. He reaped what he sought. And it just so happened what he sought was righteousness. So if the righteous shall be put to death, will the wicked be let loose? Will the wicked be let free? Will they be excused for their iniquities? Let me get this too, because this is edifying as well on the subject of death. That's what we're talking about, brothers. We're talking about death. Okay? And this is what happened when the disciples came. And it said, let's see. And when the disciples heard of it, they came and took his corpse and laid it in a tomb. So at that point, imagine seeing a brother in your camp that was dealt with like John the Baptist, which is an honor to go that way. If you are able to die in a Mashiach, that's the best thing that you can do, possibly, on this earth. Everything else is unfruitful and quite frankly, trivial. It's very trivial. Look that word up. But when they saw John, they put him in a tomb. They put him at rest. Per to the laws of old. That was a law of the old days to do that. but they're still doing it. So I ask you this honest question, and I'm going to give it two ways because it's all about the full circle. It's all about a balance. Those brothers that are in GMS and may have watched this video, I'm going to ask you a question. And most of y'all brothers probably already know, but imagine a brother that, was in your camp that you genuinely care for. You genuinely, fought this truth with and contended for the faith with. Somebody, you're one of your best friends, man. Your best friend. You're a GMS member, because that's what your brothers are, your best friends. The friends you never had in life. The friends that keep you sane. You went to their corpse and their head was gone. Imagine how that would make you feel, being in the flesh, being weak. That might make you to shake and waver your faith. But the elect won't. Those disciples didn't. They saw somebody that died for the truth, and they probably hoped that it was the same thing for them. They probably begged the Most High to give them the same death. Because it's an honor to die for the Most High. Not to say it won't hurt when you see a brother like that in your camp or around a brother that gets beheaded or a Jake that gets beheaded, And let me ask you people, you brothers and you sincere sisters out there, if you're watching this video, what if you saw your mother or your brother, like your blood brother, that's in your first generation, in your line, or your sister, or even like if you have kids, your kids are gonna die. You're gonna die. They're gonna die. We're all going to die, except for those men that are of the elect. So if they were at the point of dying, if they got shot by a stray bullet in this chaos, when this martial law and all this juice kicks off, and you're looking at them and they're looking at you and their eyes are big because they don't know what to think. Their eyes are big as hell. They're breathing slow. Okay, they have that death rattle. Look that up. Death rattle. Barely get their breath out and they take that last breath. And they're gone. Then that vessel is empty. A person is no longer here. We're in the spirit world now. Imagine how that would make you feel? If you have heart, you may run into that same instance that got them killed. See, it's a firefight. You pick up a stray gun on the ground that somebody dropped when they got shot, and now you're gonna go run into the battlefield, and you're gonna find the person that killed that person that you fell for. But that's not necessary. That's what the scriptures say. The disciples didn't do that when their fellow brother died, got beheaded. When John the Baptist got beheaded, they buried him and were at peace with it. And they probably hoped for the same thing. Okay, this is a thing about chess, brothers, and those that aren't in GMS. This is a thing about this. This game is about life, and it's about death, and it's about making the right move. And that move is still going to lead you to death, more than likely. Next scripture. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua. Okay, in the scriptures it says Jesus, but his name was Yahushua in Paleo-Hebrew. Of course, they were not speaking English in Israel when the ancient antiquity, the antiquity of the kingdom was standing. It was not, we're not going to even talk about that, but witness of Yahushua and the word of God, Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast being the system of America, okay, because it's a beast, and it'll chew you up and it'll spit you out. It will. Neither his image, okay, the clothes, the money, the women, the adulterous women, the cars, the pride, the envy, the jealousy, all those things are found here in America and abroad, worldwide. Neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads. Okay, that mark is charagma. It's an etching. That chip that this devil is manufacturing is going to be put in your right hand or your forehead. And if you're just catching this video for the first time, and I was lucky enough to get a view, not for vainglory, but get a view from a member of the elect,